Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We will still have two gentlemen here with us, Dr. Nick Idoko, security consultant, and retired Commodore Abimbola Ayuba, regional security advisor. Let me come to you, Commodore Ayuba. Listening to some of those issues that have been raised here, and speaking about regional security, particularly as it concerns Nigeria, we've heard the president say some of these insurgents, those who are attacking the country, are foreigners. We've also heard different people at different times say some of them are foreigners. We've also heard the challenge that the military is facing. In other words, the killings, the clashes between farmers, herdsmen, still persists. And the big question then is, look, we've identified some key areas, but is it fair to say we still are not getting the results aimed at stopping these killings? Are we?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. I will agree to some extent that the measures taken so far are still far from yielding the desired effect. But that is not to say that nothing has been done coming from where we were, like I said, in April to now. And adding to the complication of the theater, the areas affected by this, like I did express the last time I was here, was that the theater of conflict is a complex of several actors who continue to militate against any genuine effort of people, of government, of security to really deal with the situation. The issue of interest groups are there. The role of the NGOs are there. The criminal elements are there. The merchants of death who wishes to sell their arms by all means are there. Foreign interests are there, which comes to complicate the total efforts being applied.
But, sorry to jump in again, but those scenarios you painted, aren't they prevalent scenarios in different countries that have huge security challenge, perhaps even such as ours? So isn't that, or wouldn't that be considered as an excuse for us not doing what we need to do to sort this out?
It will require different levels of management to deal with each of these. Some have diplomatic effects, some have impact on human rights. So when you deploy troops to a place and other agencies are monitoring what they are doing, for instance, who they are killing, who they are not killing, who writing reports and distracting them, it makes the whole scenario even more complicated. You know, like I said, this is a situation of internal insurgency, which has been orchestrated by our porous borders. And what I think should be done first is for us to deliberately declare an emergency on our borders and begin to build our borders, fence our borders, like other countries are doing.
Is that possible?
Yeah, Kenya,
borders in this country.
It can be done, and it takes a long time. It is expensive. Kenya, in response to the El Shabaab, persistent incursions of the El Shabaab group into Kenya, the Kenyan government resolved to build fences, and that they outsourced to the Kenyan Defense Forces, which they are really doing now. And here we have army engineers, we have people. You first of all face the threat axis and make sure you protect those areas.
Commodore, yes. This thing about our borders has been the persistent rhetoric that's been there for ages.
Yes.
And when you say fence the borders, they say there are about 1,000, at least 1,500 entry points into Nigeria. You're implying, are you also thinking about how much that would cost and where that would come from in terms of like funding to do that?
The cost of security is huge, and it's a price that we must all resolve to pay at whatever cost. But deliberately and systematically, when the will to do it is there. We've been talking about these porous borders almost forever, and I can't see any serious borderline. Look at the issue between Mexico and the United States. They keep talking about fences and borders. Why is that? Is that it makes it more difficult for this free movement.
Exactly, because I was going to go there. We have the free movement of trade and business in ECOWAS communities, and then you still have people who live in Nigeria, but they have family across board. I mean, for instance, the boundary between Nigeria and Niger Republic. There are some people who live on the Nigerian side, but they school in Niger.
Certainly.
So are you also considering that bit when you're talking about building fences?
When you build the fences to ensure that there are no illegal crossings. There will be approved entry points, which will be known to everybody coming to pursue his own legitimate business in Nigeria. But for those who are criminals, they don't use the approved borders where you know that there are custom, immigration, and all the security agents. They go through the bush parts where they know that there's no presence.
Let me ask this before I come to Dr. Idoko. The other bit about security awareness within the citizenry, how much of that do you think would that not be a better approach than fencing? I mean, creating a security awareness amongst the citizenry to understand exactly what they're supposed to look out for, what they're supposed to do in certain situations and all of that. Shouldn't that be another approach that could be, instead of going directly to fencing?
It is just one of the measures. Any country must protect its territorial integrity. And talking about territorial integrity, you will still have to look at these issues of how to do that. In the days when we had friendly neighbors, when communities had cross-cultural affinities with the border or other neighboring states, and there was no crisis, we could overlook that. But then talking about security awareness is something that needs to be taught. And I think even in the secondary school curriculum, there are security awareness courses. There are subjects like that because
who teaches?
I go through my little boys on security. They have a subject in it.
Is that not based on the school he's attending?
No. It's maybe based on the school, but I think it should be expanded to communities, community leaders, and like I say, the veterans, the retired military personnel, they are all over in various, dispersed all over the nation. The government needs to really bring them back to work and assist in building this awareness. Because the awareness, the traditional rulers, in fact, some of the retired officers are traditional rulers on their own.